Paying a bribe is wrong, except when it's not, right? In 2023, South Africa hit a record high ranking for corruption. But bribery isn't something that only politicians and shady businessmen get up to.
He said that I can give you 600,000 rands now.
Around here, regular people pay bribes, more often than you'd think.
Many South Africans have admitted to paying a bribe over the past 2 years.
Instead of them issuing a traffic fine, they will rather instead solicit bribe.
Also, why do academics think bribes help poor people? I'm a social and market researcher. I've spent a lot of time studying why people do what they do, and I've noticed something. Why do ordinary people seem comfortable paying bribes, yet lash out when politicians do the same? When I get out of a traffic fine, need a job, maybe this will help. In this video, we're gonna look at why people pay bribes, how they justify some bribes while condemning others, and how all of this potentially contributes to a culture of corruption. Most studies focus on the demand side, the people who receive bribes and demand them. But what about the supply side? The regular Joe who has cash to skip a traffic fine or drink and drive. We call it cool drink.
What do you mean cool drink? Isn't like a bribe.
Who said bribe?
Okay, so what is a bribe? I like this definition by a study on corruption in Nigeria. A bribe is to dishonestly persuade someone to act in one's favor by a gift of money or another inducement. Same page? Let's look at why some bribes are perceived as acceptable while others are not. People refer to Oskar Schindler as an example of a good bribe. He paid off Nazis to leave his workers alone.
Say they are from me.
In that instance, it's arguably justified. But here's the thing. This study that looks at 4 countries argues that once you let the small things slide, such as paying off a traffic officer, you're more likely to justify the big ones. Let's break it down. Based on a South African survey by the Ethics Institute, I created something I call the ethics scale. It categorizes the different kinds of bribes people engage in. We have bend the rules, gray area bribes, and moral no-goes. First, bend the rules bribes. That's things like traffic stops, vehicle testing, paying to get your driver's license after you fail, getting electricity service. And then gray area bribes. These include things like paying for grades or job opportunities. Think of payola, when you pay the DJ to play your music on radio. Also, bribing to speed up public services, such as getting your citizenship documents. In countries like Nigeria, these sometimes show up as bribery in disguise, aka a goodwill payment. Then we have moral no-goes. We all agree these are bad. We're talking about bribing a state prosecutor to get you off the hook for a crime, securing a government tender or contract through a bribe, and of course, Gupta level things.
There is a belief that the Gupta family has preferential access to the highest office of the land.
So what makes this okay, but this a moral no-go? Turns out it's quite nuanced. Research shows that when government systems, public services, and law enforcement don't function properly, people start believing that bribery is just part of the system. Almost a cultural norm even.
As long as you grease the wheels in Africa, there's no issue.
So here are some of the motivations behind bribes that make us feel like what we're doing is kind of okay. Reason 1, you feel like you're out of options.
There's another option. It involves a cold drink.
If your electricity grid is unreliable and the only way to get service is to slip someone a gift, it's no longer about morality, it's about survival. Reason 2, convenience over conscience. Imagine you're 3 hours away from home. You get caught speeding. Fighting a 1,000 rand fine in court is a nightmare. But 200 rands now? No fine, no record. It's just easier. Reason 3, economic desperation. With high inequality and few opportunities, people use bribes as leverage to secure jobs or get ahead. They may think it's unethical, but they feel like they have to. Reason 4, system failure. When pretty much nothing works, poorly enforced regulations create fertile ground for corruption. A dysfunctional system means bribery is sometimes the only way to cut through red tape. When a system is broken, people start to feel like bribery is a necessary evil. You tell yourself, I have to. And since no one's looking and you're getting results, why stop? But here's the thing. The more we justify these small bribes, the more we enable even larger, more destructive corruption. It's a slippery slope. I want you to imagine what it would be like if you had to bribe for every need you have in your life. Actually, you don't have to imagine, because that's exactly what happened during the pandemic. Around the world, people were bribing to get testing, avoid travel restrictions, keep businesses open, and more. There's a whole report on this. Not everyone pays bribes, and it's difficult to determine how many people actually do. But apparently, most people know someone that's done it. I think it's happening enough that we need to have a conversation about it. When we make excuses for the everyday man or woman paying a bribe, we're helping create a culture where bribery becomes normal.
People are often forced to pay bribes just to get a job.
Why do you make people pay to get jobs?
To make people to pay to get jobs.
More than 80% think the SAPS is corrupt.
This video is neither judgment nor justification for bribery. It's an exploration of how we rationalize our behaviors and what that does to society. So, next time you're faced with a choice, ask yourself, was that guy on YouTube talking about me? What a judge.